truthfully, perfectly honest, it's just been hot, man. And we got a lot of stuff going on at work, and I got a lot of stuff going on in the house. We've renovated some backyard stuff and whatnot, so that took a long time, and I'm back at it now. So we have lots of things to talk about. All right, I know it's been a while since you've seen this girl. Let me show you just a little something I did yesterday. If you notice this car, if you remember this car, and you remember it well, I've always sported the license plate up on the front here, and the reason why I had the license plate here, I had a bracket here, is because of the damage on the front. This nose is pretty shot. Let's be real here. This thing needs to be painted, but I did take a little bit of time. Now listen guys, it's not a perfect paint job. All I did was just scuff it down and then try to sand down some of the thick scratches I had in it to smooth them out, and then paint it black on the front nose just to help clean it up a little bit. So like I said, I'm king of polishing turds here, but either way it looks a lot better. We're gonna do the rest of the belt line in the back. I want to get some new ones on order though, because these are getting kind of warped, the soft ones here. So these are gonna get replaced, and that one's missing, so I gotta get that one. And we'll do the same treatment back here. So the belt line will be black. I think it makes the car look a lot cleaner than it does with the front license plate sticking there and with the blue. So I think it looks really good. Yeah, it's gonna keep me going down the road. Listen, we're not painting this car anytime soon. I got enough work to do with this. I got a lot of work coming with this car here. The 79 Project Ego Bruise is definitely underway. I've been waiting on paint supplies for it. I got some material coming in this week called OSPO. It's a rust conversion, and we're gonna be spraying that on here and then epoxying the front end. So I'm starting to prep a little bit on the sides here, get the metal off the cowl area, and then we'll be doing this. But that's for another video. Right now, let's just talk about this. If you've been a fan for the channel for a long time, you know that I'm all about Fox Body Mustangs. This car is 100% been the star of the channel, I guess you could say, and the channel was completely built off buying this car and restoring it and doing everything we've done to it. It was really in bad shape when we bought it. Go back, literally the last 5 years of my channel has been about this car and fixing it up. But I know you guys have asked me all the time. I get emails, I get text messages, I get Instagram messages. A lot of people are asking me constantly how certain things are holding up, or how to like this or how to like that, because I did a video installing all this stuff and I don't really go back and follow up on how it's how it's holding up. So we're literally going to walk around the car from the outside, go in, and then open up the engine bay and do everything that I've done to this car. It's going to be kind of a cool video because it literally is going to go over everything we've touched on this car. So let's just start out back. All right, not a lot going on back here. The only thing I did actually replace is the taillight lenses. These are taillight lens replacements from Lmr, and these are the SVO style lens. The reason why I like these is because it has the look of the 93 Cobra lens, except the black on it is a little bit blacker and matches my trim that I painted with the SEM trim paint on the sail panels and on the light buckets. We'll look at that in a second, but I like these lenses. They've held up very well. As you can see, they still look new. Of course, they haven't been on the car that long. They've been on the car probably 3 years, maybe 4. But they've held up really well. And the clips are strong. They're not coming loose. So a lot of these things, if you don't put them in, install them right, they'll fall out on the road. So you want to install these correctly. I got a video on installing these lenses, not the whole housing. This is a lens replacement. And I replaced an 87 and up style lens that was on the car to match more of a factory look for the 86, except I like the stripes we got going here for the SVO look. So these are SVO, not Cobra. Cobra would have been a lighter charcoal gray. The sail panels here I painted along with the trim here and around the headlight, or around the quarter glass. So when I first bought the car, this was all painted blue. In fact, the whole car was just the same color, which I didn't like, so I wanted to put some black on it to help break it up. I understand the car needs a paint job, but it's a driver, it's a fun car, so I'm just not worried about the paint on it. We just keep polishing it up to make it look nice here and there and change it up. So this is SEM Trim Black, guys. I love, love, love this paint. It is amazing, it is awesome, and it has held up incredibly well. It lays down so flat and smooth, man. I painted this with it. I painted the top here of the sunroof panel. There's always somebody weeding when I start shooting, every time. And I've also painted the buckets. So this paint was put on a long time ago, and it's actually held up really well. You see a little chip here, but otherwise, like it's fine. I wash this car all the time. It's scrubbed, and this paint is holding up extremely well. So good stuff. Same with the nose there. So that's the black trim I'm going with. It's a nice satin black. We're gonna be doing the whole belt line too. So also the mirrors. These are blue, so sanded those guys down, and I painted those as well as this section here black. And this here, I want to go back and actually get all the trim eventually around the windshield, up here around the sunroof, I mean the T-tops, and on the back glass. That way it's all the trim on it is a nice satin black with a belt line. It really breaks up the blue, in my opinion. All right, let's take a second to talk about the wheels and tires. So when we first did the car, we did a 5-load conversion on. Again, there's a video on that. This whole car was 5-load converted. In fact, the car came with a 7.5 rear end for some reason. Somebody pulled it out one time and put a 7.5 in it. So I had to replace it with an 8.8. Now the 8.8 that I found was already 5-load converted and has this funky disc brake setup in it that is kind of unique. I have no idea what kit it is, but it puts the caliper in a bottom slot, almost like if you had a, you know, dual calipers from like maybe a drift car or something. But hey, it works good. The only real problem I have with it is the bore diameter is so large in the rear brakes that the bias is just a little bit off, even with a proportioning valve. But as far as the wheels, these are SVU wheels, again from Lmr. I do like the look. They are FR 500s, and they are 17 by 8 all around. I didn't really want a staggered look like most people like. I wanted to keep kind of a flush, clean look. I know the stagger looks really popular, but I've had stagger wheels on cars before, and I just wanted to do something a little different with this one. But otherwise, the wheels themselves have held up pretty well. I'm getting some, you know, rash on them, probably from God knows what on the road. But no really severe problems with paint flaking or, you know, anything like that. This wheel does have a chip in it, but who knows how that happened. I haven't hit a curb in it, so luckily there's no curb rash on any of these wheels, but you know, just driving it. So kind of is what it is. You got a little bit of paint cracking in here. So guys, these are cheap wheels. I mean, they're not expensive by any means, and you know, they will fall apart eventually, but they're not falling apart yet. So we're gonna keep rocking it. Whenever we went to the strip last Fox Fest, so I put these on. These are incredibly sticky, super awesome. Really hard time slipping these things. They're really sticky. I love them. Great tires. Those we've had on the car since we did the 5-load conversion pre-turbo. So, you know, after I got the turbo, I upgraded the tires of these guys here, and they're way better than the Nittos I had on the back. All right, up front we have the SVE Cobra style brakes and also rotors from Lmr. So guys, I've had no problems with this at all. It stops really good. Zero complaints. In fact, I got it in black, and the black color paint is actually holding up really well. And yeah, these brakes are wearing nice too. So we put miles on this car, no big deal, but been really happy with the brakes. I think they've held up really good. I move around to the exterior here. I did replace the door handles in this car. These are Lmr door handles that we did a video on, and I'll be honest, I don't like them. I don't like them at all. I think they are junk. They flip up, they don't sit as flush, and you can definitely see like the metal back here, like they stick out. I don't know if you can see that here, but they stick out. So compare this to a factory door on how flush it is. This is a factory handle. It sits more flush. I'm telling you, it just has a different feel to it. It's hard to explain. Even walking up to here, you can see the silver shining in the bottom of it. So I actually replaced them just kind of because one of them was bent and it was broken, but knowing I wouldn't know now the door handles, I wish I would have gone and looked for a NOS piece, and I still may actually find something. So new old stock is the way to go on these door handles. These are the cheap ones from Lmr. They are junk. All right, let's talk LEDs. LEDs on this car, guys. So there was a company, JDM All-Star, that sponsored me at the time and helped me out with LEDs on the entire car. Unfortunately, JDM is no longer in business. I'm sorry for that. They actually asked me to pull down my videos because apparently doing this kind of conversion in some states is illegal. This is a glass lens for the 4x6. These are glass lens with LED bulbs inside of it. Now I've got a whole video just on doing the headlight LED conversion. You need to go check that out if you're interested in putting LED headlights in this car. So I get a lot of people asking me what to buy, what kind of headlight to get. And guys, I can't answer that. I'm not a lighting specialist by any means. There is a billion companies. They're all from China. You can get these LED lenses freaking anywhere. Now the one thing I do like whenever I converted the LED, you know, headlights on this car is I really wanted to make sure that it looked factory and matched the glass bulbs look for the high beam. So the high beams are still your stock, you know, sealed high beam, and these are also sealed glass lenses for the LEDs, except they accept a, what is it, like a 9005 or something. I'll put the link in the bulb type that goes in here. And I had to do a little bit of wiring changes to get the headlights to work. But LED wise, as far as the exterior of the car, the only thing I'm running LED is the headlights, the side marker, which this one is dead. There it goes. Side markers. I just noticed that. That's funny. So these are just leftover side markers. In fact, these are clear. I don't even think they're amber. They're just clear LED side markers. They just look kind of cool going through the amber. And this is an LED clear light too on the side. I know you can't see crap right now, guys, because it's daylight, but that's clear. The tail lights are still rocking regular incandescents. And you know what? They've been plenty bright. Whenever we did the lens replacement, whenever I had the lens off, we went ahead and repainted the buckets with a shiny, chrome style spray paint that really helps visibility on those incandescents. Okay, moving on to the interior, lots to talk about in here. Door panels, just right off the bat. Door panels have not been replaced, so not a lot to talk about here, but they have absolutely been rebuilt. I bought the backer board from Lmr and rebuilt these. There's a whole video I did on these, on just salvaging your existing vinyl door panels and just replacing the carpet and the backer board. So the carpet itself has held up really well. It looks really nice. It's a perfect match to the interior carpet, which I all got from Lmr, and I love it. It's been holding up just great. So this is good. Not a lot of things to say negatively about this. It's got all new clips on it. They've been holding up well. The door panel is nice and sturdy, and yeah, the armrest is original too. Okay, so interior, there's a lot to talk about, guys. We had the entire carpet replaced in here. The seats have been replaced. They're not original to the car. They are original style seats, but not original to the car. If you go back and you remember when this car was first purchased, the first thing I did was put floor pans in it and replaced them floor pans because they were completely rusted out. This car was neglected when it was new. Somebody left the T-tops open, or they leaked, left it outside, and all the water pools up down here. When that happens, of course, it's going to cause rust over time, which is what this car did. So the panels behind the seats, or really where the seats bolt up to, were completely shot so bad that you could see the seats poking through the floor on the underside. So that just shows you how much it really just deteriorated. So of course I went back and we redid the floor pans. Now when I did that, I went ahead and replaced the carpet. So mod wise, carpet wise, let's talk about the carpet. This is Lmr Carpet. I believe it's from Dennis Carpenter. Overall, it's been okay. The fitments have been fair. I can't get rid of these wrinkles. I don't really like the way it laid out. Even with a heat gun, there's some high spots and low spots, and it seems to be a little bit tighter fit than it should be. The section over here, like, see how it's, I did not cut that, okay? And the center is marked out. So the center on this carpet has been marked out. Otherwise, it's been okay. It's held up okay. These are the 5.0, floor mats that matches, of course, the light smoke gray carpet that we've done throughout the whole car, even on the trunk and hatch. But they're falling apart. They're cheap. This stuff's glued on, so don't be fooled. It's not real embroidery. It's just basically a patch that's glued on. The carpet also balls up really easily. When I first bought it, a lot of balling up, a lot of fuzz, showing up everywhere. I had to constantly vacuum it to keep up with it. So yeah, it's the carpet. I've been not that satisfied with it. Seats are in okay condition, guys. These again are just a factory style. They've never been recovered. They're original 86 seats, so we're just gonna rock them the way they are just for now. All right, come on into the interior. There's a lot of questions I get on the interior. If you remember, we replaced the entire dash, not just the dash pad. The dash pad has also been replaced. This is an original dash pad. I believe it was red, and vinyl dyed back to gray. So that's pretty cool. I wanted to keep original. They just fit better than the aftermarket ones. So this has all been re-vinyl dyed with Lmr's light charcoal gray that is true to an 86 GT, and also true, I believe, to the SVOs. And the whole dash has been replaced. So this lower dash piece, actually the solid dash piece, was replaced. When I bought the car, this had JB Weld on it, had a huge crack. Go back, watch the video. Man, we did the whole entire dash replacement. So the whole dash was replaced, and it was also vinyl dyed. Now the vinyl dye itself, I have to admit, is holding up very well. This is some really good paint. In fact, guys, the entire car has pretty much been repainted. All the plastics have been repainted with this paint so that it matches. Even the center console, okay? This has been painted black. This has been repainted flat black or semi-gloss. So yeah, so paint wise, the Lmr paint has been really good. Moving on to the cluster. So the cluster, you guys remember when I replaced the gauge overlays? These are gauge overlays, also again from Lmr, I believe. But these overlays have held up very, very well. They're not bubbling, they're not peeling, they're not fading. You can see here they still look really brand new. I love it. You know, I did paint the needles. So, excuse me. So I did another video, guys. So go check that video out. We did a complete gauge cluster restoration. The needles were painted and new gauge overlays, factory 86 style overlays were put on the car. And I've been really happy with it. All right, let's talk about LED lights. Guys, the whole interior has been replaced with LED lights as well. I also get a lot of questions like, hey, how are you liking the LEDs? How's it holding up? Not one bulb has given me a single problem. Again, this is all from JDM A-Star, which is now out of business. However, you can still get these LEDs everywhere. Now, the key to getting the LEDs right, in my opinion, these cars, is you have to take the diffusers off and you have to use the color of LED that you want to use versus putting a clear LED in it and then expecting your red diffusers in the gauge cluster to light up your gauge clusters red. It just doesn't work that well. LEDs don't put out the same kind of lights, doesn't put out the same kind of light color temperatures, wavelengths as an incandescent does. So it's just different. So go ahead and watch that video too, where we convert the interior to all LEDs. Aftermarket gauges. Guys, I'm a fan of Autometer. I've always been an Autometer fan. I've had zero problem with these gauges. I just tend to always buy Autometer. Perfectly working, nothing bad to say about these at all. On the column side, so this I believe was purchased from Summit Racing along with both of these gauges. So a lot of the stuff in here actually has been replaced with, you know, Summit parts just simply because I live so close to Summit. But again, the boost gauge is Autometer. I guess my only complaint is that I really wish I would have gotten the black surround matching gauges. Here, these are both Sport Comp gauges, but this is the black shroud versus the silver shroud. I don't really like the silver. All right, let's talk real quick about the wideband gauge. Guys, boost gauge, of course, works as expected. Only goes to 20 PSI. I love this. It has a nice broad sweep. I'm never going to hit 20 PSI in this car, so it's a perfect gauge for me. The wideband, okay, if you guys go back, I did initially install an AEM wideband gauge. Now, in fact, I've got a whole install video just on hooking up the AEM wideband pre-turbo so I can actually monitor all the, you know, the air-fuel ratio that the motor was doing, and it also worked out because that gauge had an output to go to my micro squirt for the On3 turbo here. However, that gauge crapped out on me. Now, it was reading out correctly. The O2 sensor was working, the wideband sensor itself was working, the gauge was reading the correct air-fuel temperatures on the display, but it stopped sending output to the micro squirt, which in my case is a horrible thing, right? You got to be able to monitor your air-fuel ratios on the turbo when you're running tune, running boost, and all that stuff. So that was a bad deal. I only came across it, I found it, I think, only because I was in the tune and I was watching it, and it would go from 0 and then start working, then go back to 0. It was cutting in and out. I rewired it, regrounded everything, called AEM, and no matter what I did, didn't fix it. I immediately ditched it and went out and spent the extra money on the Autometer, and I'm so glad that I did because I've had no issues since. So take that for what it is. AEM was no good for me. Autometer for the win. Grand steering wheel, probably the single most thing that I touch and actually influences the car itself when you drive, because you do touch this thing as you drive the car. This has been a good steering wheel. Pros, I do like suede. I'm a suede fan. I think the look of this model fits the car very well. I found this at an O'Reilly's, I believe, down the bottom shelf. I don't remember the model number, but I'll try to post it down below here in a second. But this is suede. I like the size of it. I like the fitment of it. I like the dish and how far it comes in and out. It matches look-wise, I think, the car, and it looks very period correct in my opinion. One of the things I don't really care too much about this style versus, say, the Ford Racing or Momo kind of equivalent look is the shape of the tops and sides and bottoms of it. It's almost oblong. It's not a perfectly round shape. In fact, it's like, you know, kind of like that, right? It's weird. It's almost like an egg shape, and whenever I squeeze it, it feels awkward on my hand, like right through here on my palm. It doesn't feel, you know, as round as it should be. Now the sides aren't like that. In fact, the sides right here feel very good in your thumb. Fits in this, you know, in the slot right here really nicely. So I really like that. I just don't really care for the oblong, but that's really my only complaint. I love the suede. I love how it doesn't slip. I love how it doesn't get cold or hot when you're driving. It just has a really nice, comfortable, grippy feel, which is great. Another minor complaint is I don't really love the conversion kit that you use to install this, or the installation kit to install this Grant wheel to an 86 column. It's got some weird gaps, and it also gives me fit on my turn signal cam cancellation here. If I turn right, it works, it'll automatically click off, but if I turn left, it won't whenever I turn the steering wheel back, and that's kind of annoying. Shifters, I'm right now rocking a tri-ax. I've got no complaints with this shifter. It is hooked up to my TKO 600 5-speed transmission, but before this, I had an SVE Lmr Chinese shifter that was complete crap, complete junk. Guys, when it comes to shifters, spend the money. Before this, I had an MGW on my T5, and I absolutely love that shifter. I like it a little bit better than the Trax, to be honest. It felt a little beefier, but I've got no complaints. This thing is crisp, and it's solid, and it's a short throw, and what else do you really want? MGW, though, is almost infinitely adjustable, which is, in my opinion, what makes it superior to other shifters. So I really like MGW, but when it comes to mods, MGW for the win, in my opinion, over even the tri-ax, which I've got installed on here. Now, MPD, I bought this from MPD, and I've been super happy with it. My top console lid here, glove box, whatever you want to call it, armrest pad has been, was falling apart completely. The original style actually has a, it's vinyl folded over plastic. This is a solid, looks like a rubber molded piece, which actually like a little bit better. It feels firm, feels solid, it's still squishy, so it's comfortable with my arm, and it looks the part. I didn't paint this one. It matches the paint that I used on the console here, the Lmr paint, really nicely, and also had the latch replaced from MPD, so now it locks, it stays nice and put as it should. So this was a good mod. Thank you, NPD. One last interior mod is that I did end up modifying my shift light. This is a shift light that's for SVOs and was never hooked up to the GT Mustangs. However, it's there. I ended up putting a bulb back there, hooked it into my Mega Squirt computer, and make this a functioning shift light. You'll see in my videos, this lights up really bright. There's an LED behind it, and it tells me whenever I hit my set shift point. I like it. It's a factory look, and it's functional, and it rocks. It's a 2-function light. It also comes on and stays on solid if the car hits over 210 degrees. When it's getting too hot, I know because the light's on. That's a cool mod. I got a video on both of those. Go check that out. Go through my channel. It's there. Man, get this Chevy off my driveway.
Hey, it's an 88 rock, it's not an 89.
Oh, you're wrong on the year?
She told me that.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. It's all yours now. See you later.
Yeah. See you, man. Man, Ethan, what is this? What is this, man?
88 rock.
Ethan's first car. You know you're on a Mustang channel, right?
Yeah.
Hey, it's still cool though, man. Look at that. That's 80s coolness.
Those tires are
Watch out. Well, your dad driving. I'm sure he was burning tires up. Man,
it's cool.
This is cool. I don't know, man. You guys want to see iRock stuff on the channel? we're gonna wet sand it. Actually, I don't know if we're gonna wet sand it. We're gonna try to polish this paint out. We'll see if we can get this haze and fog off.
Yeah, it's pretty bad on the side.
Yeah, we're gonna see what we can do here. I've got some compound, and we got McGuire's, like restore, get rid of some of this oxidation. It's just oxidized. All right, I'm gonna take a break with the Mustang and work on a Camaro. That's still American awesomeness though, dude.
Yeah.
It's cool, dude. I'm proud of you, Ethan. Happy for you, buddy. There you go, boom.
You clean that up a little bit.
Yeah, we could foam this up too. Sweet. Rub a dub dub, Ethan. Don't forget the wheels. You can do the hard part, the labor. Man, Ethan looks a hell lot better, dude. You like it?
Yeah.
Sweet. Day's work, Sean. It's been a tough day, hasn't it?
Tough day.
All right, you've been with me this long. Thank you for sticking with me this long. I know what you're thinking. God, get to the meat and potatoes of it, dude. How's your turbo system going? Let's talk mechanics. Let's get there. I just wanted to go over everything in the car that wasn't, you know, mechanical or turbo. And a lot of people have asked me about it. So come on, let's get underneath the hood and take a look at this thing. Let's talk about all the stuff we switched out there. Okay, somewhat recently we did a video on the hood latches. The hood latches are cheap Amazon. These are a fraction of the price of the more expensive ones that you pay online. How are they holding up though? They have been okay. This one over here likes to stick. They do stick sometimes, guys, and when they stick, you cannot push the cam depress button in at all. See how these are able to, you can kind of press them down? You can't press them in at all. In fact, one of them was stuck so bad the first time that it took me a good, I don't know, 10 minutes to figure out that really what you should do is, you know, hit it like this or press down on it, and that will actually help you release it. We got lots to talk about under here, so where should we begin? Again, this is a video on mods. I'm not going to get into the major details on like the internals of the motor and the mods they've done to the motor, anything like that. We're going to talk about bolt-ons. That includes the turbo kit, that includes the cooling system that has gone through many times, many changes, and it's going to go through the tanks, the Pcv system, and everything else. So let's get started with that right now. All right, starting our way back to the motor. First and foremost, let's talk quickly about the radiator. The radiator, this is the third radiator I've gone. I've had a stock radiator, I had an SVE radiator, now I've got this DeWitt's radiator, and it is huge. If you've been a fan of the channel, after I put the On3 turbo kit on, you'll know that we've gone through some many different problems with cooling, and I've been fighting to keep this car down cool because this has always been a street car, and I want to make sure I have AC in it. So with AC running, this car likes to get warm with a turbo kit. It always has. So originally, let's just go back to the radiator. When I had the trick flow motor, this is a fresh rebuilt motor without the On3 turbo, and this is naturally aspirated, we had an SVE radiator and a Black Magic fan, which is actually still up there, but that is a Black Magic fan from Flexolite that came with its own controller. Now, its controller actually crapped out on me, so I got rid of the controller, but the Black Magic Flexolite fan just wasn't cutting it. Even with a stock motor, it was okay. So that's when I decided to replace the fans with contour fans, which is, again, a extremely common mod. Most people do this from the get-go. It's great fans. Those things push a ton of air. So that fixed the fan issue, and I had no problems with cooling with the contour and the SVE aluminum radiator that I had on there before. Now things got a little bit more complex. Once I put the turbo on, that system could no longer keep up. I was having problems, especially when it's 100 degrees out here, and I had the AC cranking. At that point, we had problems keeping this car cool. It would hit 210 and climb up from there. That's when I really started doing some research on radiators, and I reached out to DeWitt's to see if they can help me out. What they gave me and what they educated me on is not just necessarily the core, the size of the radiator being how many rows, it's the size of the core of each row independently. So if you go online, you buy a 3-core radiator, that's cool. It's better than 2-row because more rows, the more cooling capacity, the more surface area, the better the cooling essentially. But it's the size of the cores that matter. Go look and see how big those cores are. They may be tiny. So for instance, this is a 3-inch radiator with only 2 cores, which means each core is 1.50 in size. So it's 1.5 inch cores, 2 rows separated like this. Okay, those are huge tubes. Those tubes allow for tons of cooling capacity to pass through them. And since this has been installed, I've had very little cooling issues. Now we'll get to the fan controllers. A lot of you guys asked me about fan controllers. We're going to get right there in a second because I've gone through numerous fan controllers as well. But before I say that, how is this holding up now with this turbo setup with the On3 kit? Guys, it still gets warm. It's not completely fixed. The DeWitt's radiator, I swear to God, if it's under like 85 degrees outside, the car has a hard time getting up to temp. It's so cool. It's amazing. This car will run 160, 180 all day long in the fall through winter. It's just in the heat of the summer when I turn it on, it'll stay at 180, I have a 185 thermostat in here, by the way, and a high flow water pump. It's important to note, I guess. But the car still likes to climb, and then once it gets to 210, it can't really go down. However, it's never gone past 210. Actually, it doesn't even usually ever get to 210. So it's been much better, but I'm still seeing issues, and we're still finding it. It could be tune related. I don't know. At this point, it's definitely not the radiator. Let's talk about fan controllers. Right now, you're looking at spout fans. I'm running this because they gave me this setup as a kit. These spout fans come with it. They're shrouded to the radiator itself, and they move a ton of air. Very similar CFM to the contour fans. And you can see they fit my engine well, but awfully tight. So the split fan setup is close to my water pump pulley right there, as you can see. So these have no problems. The way these work, and the reason why I'm running, oh, hang on, whoa. Fan controllers. Guys, I've had a lot of people ask me about the Durali fan controller. If you remember back when I had the contour fans and the SVE radiator, I did an install video on Durali fan controllers. Durali is a pulse width modulated type electronic fan controller. It's a fancy term for fast on and off and speed controlled. So it can slowly speed them up, slowly speed them down depending on the engine's needs, okay? In my opinion, I had no problems with it, okay? I've talked to a lot of people and they're like, hey, you know, that's the crappiest thing ever. It's left me stranded, overheated my motor, blew my motor, and it crapped out. Mine had no problems, and it really didn't have any problems. It started getting weird whenever I had the AC on. If I had the AC on, I actually heard the fan spin down. I called support and they said, well, your fan override, put your fans at 85%, you know, spin speed or whatever. And I was like, that's weird because I need them at 100 because right now the engine's getting hot. Like it needs to be like full speed. He's like, well, if they should never run at 100. If they're running 100, you got other cooling problems. And I'm like, no, I've got a turbo. You know, I've got a small block Ford in a Fox body with a turbo and a lot of, you know, hot pipes. So anyways, it never crapped on me. I didn't like the idea of how it spun the fans down with the AC on. So because of that, whenever I went with the SPAL here, I decided to, well, one, I asked them if they were, you know, if they recommended Durali, and they didn't have anything against it. They just said, you know, when it comes to cooling fans, your tried and true method of just running a relay and a simple on-off switch is the best. Okay, whether your on-off switch is from your ECU or your on-off switch is from, in this case, a little sensor. That's a foolproof sensor. It's screwed right into the radiator right here. It's right there, see? So this is a set point, has a set point on it. Turn your fans on. Behind the panel here, this is a panel I fabricated for the Durali controller, but behind there is the fan relays that kick on. Super simple, super reliable. That's what I'm running right now. Nothing wrong with Durali, just in my opinion, it's overly complex. Too much things go wrong, too many variables, too much setup. Listen, I need this car just to be cool. That's all. I need the fans to run 100% when it gets hot. That's it. All right, moving our way back, let's talk about the overflow tank. I know that's a simple, straightforward, nothing to see here type mod, but I get a lot of questions on this. Guys, this is a Mr. Gasket. I'll post a part number in the description. I get asked, it seems like every other week, on how I like this and where I got it from and what the part number is. It's a Mr. Gasket. I got it from Summit Racing, and it's perfect because it has a view sight, and it's simple. It's just an overflow tank. Nothing special. Moving our way back, let's talk about this Pcv system. I did a video recently before Fox Fest on if this was functioning. We drained it and checked it, and it is functioning perfectly. These are dash 10 lines, I believe, that run from each valve cover. I've had no problems with this setup. They're simply screwed in with bulkhead fittings, and the bulkhead fittings are strategically placed between rocker arms so that it doesn't hit when the rockers are cycling up and down. And that's it. So they're not even welded in. I've got one on the back side of each top. It's simply vented to this catch can. It catches the oil on the bottom. Gas is coming out of the top. With a turbo setup, this is by far the simplest way to do things versus plumbing a functional PCV system. It's just overkill. This is the way to go, in my opinion. It's simple. Sometimes simple is best, but no problems with this at all. It's catching oil. It's venting, doing what they do. All right, electronic wise, just as we move our way back, we have the alternator here. This is the 3G alternator upgrade that I reported in my video. This was an Amazon alternator that I got for super cheap. I don't think it's available anymore, but they're all over the place. You can find them on eBay. It's just a rebuilt 3G alternator. I think it's 130 or 150 amp. And I've purchased the pigtail on Amazon as well, the 3G pigtail, and wired it. And there's a whole video on just the 3G conversion by itself. Had no problems with it. It's still functioning even with this hot turbo next to it. How about your TFI module, Mike? How's it holding up? Guys, it's the stock one. Because every one I've replaced here that's new has crapped out on me. Brand new Ford Racing crapped out on me, okay? Made in China. Junk. All right, the On3 Turbo Kit as a whole has been incredibly reliable. I'm so proud to say that after 3 years, I've had no problems with the turbo. Now, this is your base kit. It's not a ball bearing turbo, so it's not the upgrade turbo. It's just your standard 70mm journal-based turbo kit. No problems. The only problem I've had with this kit is really, if I can complain about anything, would be the quality control on the hot side piping. When I got it in, the crossover pipe did not fit well at all. And On3 sent me a new one, and it was much shorter. So I think maybe the kit had accidentally had a 351 Windsor crossover pipe for it. So that was a problem. And you can also see from other kits that I've seen from other On3, friends with On3 turbos, the piping is always, it just fits different. I've seen some with more room, some with less room, some tighter to the block, some tighter to the intercooler. It varies. So guys, if you buy this kit, be prepared to have a difference than your buddy, right? And also be prepared to do some modifications to get it all to fit right. But that is true with any turbo kit, okay? But it's especially true, I think, with the On3 kit. I think that the quality control and the pipes from one kit to another kit aren't always the same. They may be slightly different angles in the headers and whatnot. Now the headers, I've had zero problems with leaks. I'm really surprised. The headers on these things are actually really good. The flange on them is crazy thick. I trued them both up and used copper RTV to seal it, and I've had zero leaks on this. Now this side actually did blow out on me, but it's not On3's fault. This is 100% my fault, because when I got the kit, I wanted to true up the header flanges on a belt sander. I ended up screwing it up a little bit, ran it anyways, it kept blowing out. Got to replace it when it's been fine. Okay, so that was completely my fault. Both sides have been leak free, and in fact this has been leak free now on the header flange since I put it in, knock on wood. So that is just true copper RTV, nothing else. I've had no problems with the fitment and the leak of the headers, so that is really good. The turbo itself, I had no problems with either. It builds boost, it does what a turbo should do. Blow-off valve is working as it should, and the wastegate is stock and works as it should. The only difference on the turbo itself is I did drill and tap in the booster reference directly to the turbo housing, just to make sure that it gets the cleanest source reference from the turbo itself to the Turbo Smart controller, which I've also had no issues with, guys. This thing does dial back boost the way it should be. In fact, right now it's set to 10 pounds. If I do a couple clicks on this, it'll be up to 15, no problem, or up to 12, excuse me. 5 clicks on this will bring it up to 12 pounds, no problem at all. So that is pretty cool, no problems with the kit. If I had to complain about the turbo at all, it would be that the boost lag is there. In my case, it's there most likely because of the 373 gears. It's definitely not helping it. I'm not putting enough load on it, and it being a manual versus automatic. So either changing the gear ratio out or going to a ball bearing smaller turbo that maybe spools a little bit faster is probably ideal. And that's what I do plan on doing in the future. So that is not a knock on the kit. This is a very basic kit, but as you see, 3 years of running it hard, I've had no issues on it. The turbo has started slowly smoking on startup. It went away, and then it did it a couple weeks back. When you run it hard, turn it off, start it back on, it burned some oil out of the exhaust. If anything, it may start to be leaking a little bit past the seals. So I know that restrictors, there's no restrictor installed in here, so the kit that it came with has been fine. The oil feed kit, I've not had to modify it at all from what On3 gave me. So man, overall 100% happy as the turbo kit. Let's talk about the charge and the cold side. So the charge pipe and cold side, the intercooler definitely fits. It's a tight fit, guys, especially on an 86 GT nose. You're going to have to do some trimming, but the fitment is there. Have no problems with it. I did have to replace this coupler here because the coupler that they gave me was, it doesn't fit the throttle body. So this is I believe it's a 75 mil throttle body, but it's about 3.5 inches in diameter, outside diameter, versus what they give you is 3-inch outside diameter. So basically I put a coupler on there, it was collapsing, and I had to go back and put in a metal pipe with a 3 to a 3.5 inch coupler, but I had to go with a hard pipe here. So again, that's not really On3's fault. Just be sure that, if you have a different size throttle body, or in my case, especially if you remove the EGR block plate, everything moves in a couple inches, then you may have to modify the coupler between the cold pipe and your throttle body to fit your needs. The overall just thought of purchasing the On3, would I do it again? Absolutely, I would do it again. It's boost and it's turbo boost, different kind of boost. Turbos are fun, trust me. And I have zero regrets purchasing this kit versus a more expensive kit, because you could always upgrade later, you can always modify, you can always add. In my case, I could put a different turbo on it. Or if you don't like the hot side, you can change that out too. Like, you can use this kit and grow with it, is my point. And you can use a lot of things to get started, and as you get more experience, you could add and remove things as fit your build. So I think that's a good idea. It gets people into the boost game young, and it gets them in early, right? It gets them in without spending a ton of money. But I will say this, guys, $1,800 turbo kit is not even half the cost. If anything, it's barely half the cost. It's everything else, okay? It's the heat shielding, okay? It's the wraps, it's the upgraded fuel lines, the 60-pound injectors. It's, in my case, the micro squirt, which has been flawless too, by the way. No issues with the ECU, but how you tune your turbo is going to be a significant factor in cost as well. So that's something to definitely consider if you're going turbo, is everything else. So if you're budgeting $1,800 to $2,000 on turbo, budget double it, okay? At the very least, double it. So $4,000 for a turbo setup is probably way more on par. If not, it's on the low end, okay? Fuel system wise, I'm running an aeromotive pump in the rear, plumbing it up to the factory lines, up to some AN fittings. So it is factory lines from these fittings back to the car. The hard lines are stock, and then this is coupled to the stock fuel rails, 60-pound injectors, and a nice aeromotive fuel pressure regulator. I do not have any fuel issues whatsoever running 12 pounds of boost on this. So my duty cycle on these injectors have been fine too. They're only, I think, 60% duty, so they have a lot more life left in them. Maybe 75. I gotta go look. Don't count me to that. All right, guys, let's talk clutch cable. Maximum Motorsports clutch cable, by far single best mod, clutch wise, clutch pedal wise, besides the actual clutch itself. Great cable. I cannot emphasize how awesome this cable is compared to other ones. That is because, thanks to you guys, someone had informed me that the stock ones are the ones you get replacement from the factory parts store, are not Teflon lined. The problem I had with my original T5 cable was it was stretched. I replaced it with your auto parts style, factory style replacement. And even with the double wraps, I've got two DE wraps on, the aluminum one and a really thick one right where it gets so close to the turbo here. Very, very close to your hot side header here. Even with it on, it didn't burn the cable, but internally it melted it. So I got a gritty, like a really gritty clutch pedal shortly after running the turbo kit. And that's when I realized. I took the cable off, inspected it, and it had just ruined the inside, the lining of the cable, melted it. So Maximum Motorsports here for the win. It is a Teflon coated cable. It's also a lot longer, so you can easily route it around your hot side more. So man, clutch wise, I highly recommend the Maximum Motorsports cable. This car was recently swapped to a TKO 600 manual transmission from the T5. I highly recommend that, especially if you got turbo power. I don't have to worry about breaking the 600 foot-pound capacity, but I don't really have anything to say because it hasn't been in the car long enough for me to give you a proper review, other than, one, I've had no issues with it, and two, yes, it's a little notchier than my T5 was, not quite as smooth, but otherwise, it's a heavy-duty transmission. So I'll follow up on that a couple years from now. So I'm running, the Team Z rear, upper and lower control arm with a rear upper relocated control arm kit. The Team Z kit is badass. I have no complaints. I love it. That thing hooks way harder. The back end feels very planted. I don't want to get too far into the dynamics of it, but that is definitely an installed mod that I have no regrets on at all. It's the street version, so it's got Heim joints on the axle side, but on the body mount side, it is still polyurethane. So you get a little bit of best of both worlds, and you don't have to wear and constantly replace Heim joints, driving on the street. So, all right, guys, hey, so that is it. I keep extra mega fuses with me. I keep extra TFI mods on the glove box. I also keep a tool to remove the TFI. The car is not perfect, never has been, probably never will be, but it has just been fun, and that has always been the purpose from day one. This car's had a lot of changes, it's gone through a lot since the day we purchased it. One of these days it's going to get a paint job, but right now the main focus is going to be on Project Ego Boost here and our Ego Boost Coupe. And I'll be getting paint videos on this thing soon. We're going to be doing lots of work on this. But I did say I wanted to make a follow-up video on a lot of stuff we did on this car and just kind of follow up on it. So there you have it. I know I missed something. Please reach out to me if you have any specific questions on something we've installed in the past that I might have missed in this video, because I know there will be some things that I did miss. Okay, so hey guys, check out housedealer.com. It kind of shows all my Instagram posts, but it puts everything in one place. It's my Facebook channel, it's links to the latest videos, and it's all the Instagram posts that I post regarding box body stuff and car stuff. So, man, whew, mouthful. That's it. Make sure to subscribe, make sure to follow me on Instagram, guys, housedealer.com. We'll see y'all next time.